Okay, so let's jump right into a question that, let's be honest, we've probably all fantasized about at some point. What would actually happen if you decided to eat nothing but pizza for a whole year? Sounds pretty great, right? Well, let's find out. I mean, really think about it. Your number one all-time favorite food, pizza in this case, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Every single day. No more trying to figure out what to cook. Just pure, reliable deliciousness on demand. It's the ultimate foodie dream, isn't it? But what happens when that dream slams into biological reality? So, is this the shortcut to a happy, easy life of eating, or is it a one-way ticket to a complete and total nutritional nightmare? Let's follow this little thought experiment and see just how bad it could get. All right, let's start the clock. The first month? That would probably feel amazing. You're living the dream. But even while you're enjoying all that cheesy goodness, your body would already be sending up some serious red flags. And here's the problem, laid out in plain numbers. Just look at the first two rows. You'd be slamming your system with way more than double the recommended daily amount of sodium and saturated fat. But then look at the bottom two. Your fiber and vitamin C intake, it would basically drop to zero. And that huge imbalance is where all the trouble begins. The sodium issue alone is just staggering. I mean, this chart says it all. We're not talking about being a little bit over the limit. We're talking more than double the max, day in and day out. That forces your body to hold on to water, putting a huge strain on your heart and your kidneys right from week one. And this isn't just numbers on a chart. You would feel this. That total lack of fiber, it would lead to some pretty serious digestive issues. All that sodium would make you feel bloated and thirsty all the time. And without the right mix of vitamins, this deep, unshakable fatigue would start to set in. Yeah, the honeymoon would be over. Fast. Okay, let's fast forward to the 6-month mark. This is where things get really serious. At this point, your body's done sending polite warning signals. Now, the major alarms are going off. Those little problems from the first month are starting to become chronic conditions. So here we are, 180 days in. That's half a year of nothing but dough, sauce, and cheese. By now, those nutritional gaps we saw earlier aren't just abstract numbers anymore. They've become severe, actual, diagnosable deficiencies. For example, let's talk about scurvy. I know, it sounds like something straight out of an 18th century pirate movie, right? But it's a very real disease, and it's caused by one thing, a total lack of vitamin C. When you have zero fruits or fresh veggies in your diet, a pizza-only plan puts you right in the danger zone. This just goes to show how incredibly important a single nutrient can be. See, without vitamin C, your body literally can't make collagen, which is basically the glue that holds your body together. The results are not pretty. We're talking bleeding gums, bruising from the slightest bump, and just awful joint pain. But it's not just about vitamin C. You'd also be critically low on iron, which would lead straight to anemia. The lack of calcium and vitamin D would start to weaken your bones. And that's not even getting into the effects on your mental health from missing all these key micronutrients. It's a total systemic breakdown. Now, let's head into the final stretch, the 1-year mark. We've made it to day 365, and the damage is no longer temporary. At this point, we're looking at serious, long-term, and maybe even irreversible health problems. Let's start with the most obvious change. Depending on what kind of pizza you're eating and how much, that constant calorie surplus would almost certainly lead to some pretty significant weight gain over a year. And this isn't just about appearances. It's a major stressor on every single system in your body. So after a full year, you've basically rolled out the red carpet for some of the most serious chronic diseases we know of. That constant flood of saturated fat and sodium is a direct threat to your heart. And the combination of weight gain and poor nutrition is pretty much a perfect recipe for type 2 diabetes and even liver damage. You know, this quote really just says it all. Our bodies are amazing. They are incredible machines that can adapt to so much. But the one thing they absolutely cannot handle is monotony. They are built for variety. They require it. So after painting that pretty bleak picture, what's the big takeaway here? What can this whole extreme thought experiment teach us about our own real-world diets? This is probably the most important point of all. Pizza isn't the villain in this story. You could swap it out for almost any single food, burgers, pasta, whatever, and the result would be just as disastrous. The problem isn't the food you're eating, it's all the other foods you're not eating.
In a weird way, our pizza nightmare is the perfect illustration of what a healthy diet actually needs. You need a good mix of macronutrients, that's your proteins, fats, and carbs. You need a huge variety of micronutrients from all kinds of different foods. You've got to have plenty of fiber, and of course, moderation. These are the absolute non-negotiables.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. Look, nobody is actually eating only pizza for a year, but a lot of us can get stuck in a rut, right? Eating the same 5 or 6 meals over and over again. So just take a second to think about your own routine. How many different kinds of fruits, vegetables, and proteins do you really eat in a typical week? Because